This week is also considered National Eating Disorder Awareness Week. Mental health advocate Sophie Grégoire Trudeau is back with us here on TMS to share some advice on dealing with this mental health issue. Sophie, so good to see you again.
So good to see you. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. All right, talk to us about the importance of breaking down the stigma of eating disorders.
Well, because there is so much stigma still surrounding eating disorders, and I like to call it, or well, no, I dislike to call it the double stigma, because there's stigma in the population. Do we actually know what eating disorders are? Anorexia nervosa is the restriction of food, and I'm generalizing here. I'm going very quickly, and there's a lot of weight loss. Bulimia nervosa is overeating and having an obsession with food, and also over-exercising, both in anorexia and in bulimia. Then binge eating, overeating in a very short period of time. And also there's purging episodes with bulimia. Not every bulimic purges after a meal. Some do, some don't. And binge eating, overeating, usually it's junk food and or more unhealthy food, and all non-specified categories of eating disorders. There's also orthorexia, being obsessed with eating just really healthy food and only healthy food and watching your weight like crazy. There's also bigorexia, obsession with training and exercising nonstop. Now, I don't know how people are feeling right now, but we're all on this kind of spectrum of how do we accept ourselves? You know, how do we treat our bodies? How much time a day do we think about how we look? And our own perception of ourselves and self-worth as well. So all those categories of eating disorders, do we actually know? Are we educated on them and about them? That's the first stigma as a population, and that includes all of us. And the second one is the one who suffers, the person who actually suffers from the eating disorder. And as somebody who suffered in my teenage years and in my young adulthood, I know how it feels to suffer in isolation, and also the shame and the guilt that we carry when we suffer from any type, I would say, of in so many ways, it's a self-betrayal, because eating disorders are just the tip of the iceberg of a feeling of powerlessness and wanting to control ourselves and our lives a little bit more, and having a better sense of self-worth. And there's, by the way, there's more than 1.7 million Canadians who fit the criteria for an eating disorder, and those are just the cases that we know of. I know for a fact, last night I was talking with a couple of girlfriends, and I've been friends with them for like 10 years. And one of them was telling me, yeah, I suffered from bulimia when I was younger. And the other was saying, you know, my daughter suffers from an eating disorder. And I hear this all the time. And since the pandemic, it's only become more exponential. And we really have to pay attention to this.
Yeah, so where are we now, Sophie? Do you feel that there is less of a stigma surrounding eating disorders than when you were a teenager?
You know what I would say? We didn't really talk about eating disorders 20 years ago when, you know, I came out and I was just beginning in my career, and I was like, I'm going to lose all my contracts if I tell people that, oh, you know, I'm the girl who's vomiting after a meal. It's so much more than that. We have to educate ourselves to better understand. And now as well, with the social media and the algorithm, it's getting scarier and scarier, the rapidity of information that gets to our brains, and also the type of information. I don't know if you heard of the TikTok trend called legging legs, that the legs have to look a certain way and be perfect, and the upper thighs can't touch to have the perfect legging legs. All of our young people are seeing this, and it's coming at a rate that is so alarming that it really affects our nervous system. So I would say that the stigma is different now, and the power of the information coming to us is really, really, it's scary, and we know this. And with AI, it's not going to get any better. So the more regulated we are in our nervous systems, and the more educated we are on this matter, the more we'll be able to intervene.
Sophie, what strategies do you have for those who may be struggling?
Well, first of all, eating disorders can affect anybody. It doesn't matter what religion you practice, what socioeconomic background you come from, what body type you have. And important to know that people who might look overweight are also starving themselves. So there's so many taboos and stigmas still surrounding all of this. Strategies when you're suffering. First of all, know that painful emotions, deeply painful emotions, are part of life. they're normal. You're not abnormal because you're suffering deeply and you think you're the only person in the world going through this. There are millions of other people going through this at the same time as you on this planet. So first of all, educate yourself, know a little bit better as well about what you're suffering. I would say that helped me. I remember when I was suffering and I started reading upon it, I discovered, oh, okay, this is, how it could be described. And also remember, you're never alone. Help is right beside you sometimes and you don't even know it. A friend, a close family member, if it's not safe in your own family and circle of friends, there's community centers, there's the Canadian Mental Health Association, the National Alliance for Eating Disorders, who have kind of like satellite offices, almost in every province. So in Canada, I think we're getting better at not only destigmatizing and talking about eating disorders, but actually getting help to the people who need it most. And it's never enough. I know that. And there's people who are listening to us who are probably suffering or know somebody who's suffering right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. We know that you are very open when it comes to your journey with eating disorders. You discuss it in your upcoming book, Closer Together, which we want to remind everybody is out in April. Sophie, thank you so much. Really appreciate this important conversation and great to see you as always.
It's my pleasure. And I look forward to talking about self-acceptance later on the show. I'll be watching.